I don't know if you guys remember the horrific case of Lucy Connolly, the woman that was jailed over a Facebook post. It wasn't anything bad at all. But again, ladies and gentlemen, you don't hate the BBC nearly enough or the mainstream media nearly enough as you should because, well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Good news coming out of the UK. Lucy Connolly is free. She should never have been jailed in the first place. Apparently, the judge gave her the harshest sentence he possibly could. Over what exactly? Over a hate post. Over a post whereby she said that mass immigration, we need deportations right now. So apparently that was deemed as racist and hateful, and it landed her an almost 2-year-long sentence under Kier Starmer's apparently free speech UK. We have freedom of speech in the UK, but no, we're going to go around and jail people for Facebook posts, evidently speaking. So much as freedom of speech in the UK, right? So the BBC created a headline, "Woman jailed for race hate post. Says she was political prisoner." That's exactly what she was. Kier Starmer used her as a political pawn. She was basically Kier Starmer's pin-up girl, as she rightfully so explains in the video that you guys are about to watch. But the BBC, my goodness me, you can't get enough of their ridiculous headlines of late. Like the BBC recently made a stupid headline about a woman that died of leukemia, but apparently they said that she died of starvation. By the way, the report that is coming out that there is a famine at the moment over in Gaza is a total fabrication and total lie. Again, why is the UN constantly running cover for a known terrorist organization? Meanwhile, the actual terrorists are fat. Anyway, we'll get into that in another video. But a woman, Lucy Connolly, I don't know why they can't use her name, was jailed for stirring up racial hatred against asylum seekers, has said she was made to be Sir Kier Starmer's, I won't call him Sir, Kier Starmer's political prisoner. Lucy Connolly from Northampton was released on Thursday after serving 40% of her 31-month prison sentence. The 42-year-old wife of a Tory councillor had called for the people to set fire to hotels housing asylum seekers in the wake of the Southport attack in July 2024. Number 10 declined to comment, but earlier this year, Kier Starmer appeared to defend the prison term in the House of Commons, saying he was against incitement to violence. In her first newspaper interview since her release, Connolly told the Telegraph she considered herself and several other people to absolutely be political prisoners of the Prime Minister. I, for some reason, seem to have the most coverage, but there are people that are in equally awful situations that shouldn't be in there, she said, speaking to journalist Alison Pearson. Now, honestly, who is going to listen to Lucy Connolly? And by the way, she deleted the post. So you have a right to be angry, but you can't voice your anger and your concern on social media nowadays, because if you say something that is incitement of violence or it's racial hatred, but yet they can say it to us and that's totally fine. But if we say it to them, no, we can't have that. That's unacceptable. So Kier Starmer's like, I don't accept incitement to violence, but yet he's got people walking around stabbing people in the streets, left, right, and center. That's actual violence. But incitement is way worse, people, especially for a mother who ended up taking down the post. And she was evidently angry about the mass immigration problem that Kier Starmer and the Tories created. So, hello, do something about it. I think with Starmer, he needs to practice what he preaches, but he doesn't. He's a human rights lawyer, so maybe he needs to look at what people's human rights are, what freedom of speech means, and what the laws are in this country. I don't think he knows. On 29th of July last year, the day of the Southport attack, she posted on X that there should be mass deportations now and said, if that makes me racist, so be it. She deleted the post before she was arrested on August 6th, but it had already been viewed 310,000 times. She pleaded guilty to inciting racial hatred by publishing and distributing threatening or abusive written material on X. Now, let me get this straight. Her sentence apparently the judge gave her the harshest sentence he possibly could, which I think she was facing 5 years. But her solicitors advised her she would be home by Christmas if she pled guilty. And that's why she did. And she was the prime example that he gave her the harshest sentence he could. How crazy is that? Over a Facebook post that she deleted. Oh, Jay, it was bad to say, set fire to hotels. Okay, fair enough. There are consequences for things that we say, but we live in a freedom of speech society, do we not? But problem is, nothing happened. Why did she get given 2 years? Ridiculous, isn't it? Meanwhile, there are people that are being let free who have committed rape and have attacked women, boys. I mean, PDF files get let back out. They get given bail. She wasn't given bail. None of it. Have a watch of her 3-minute long. There's this 3-minute long clip. She's speaking to Dan Wootton about her being a political prisoner. Have a watch.
To plead guilty. And Lucy, lots of people have said that was a huge mistake.
In hindsight, it was. And they have to remember that I didn't get remand. I didn't get bail. I'd been remanded. They made it quite clear they were not going to give me bail at any point.
So you're in jail?
So I'm in jail at this point, being told that I'm looking at 5 years. Not really understanding how the system works. Crying, thinking my daughter's going to be this age, my dog's going to be dead by the time I get home, I'm going to be this age, I'm going to prison for all this time.
And you have a solicitor advising you.
I've got a solicitor advising me to go guilty, to get my credit, to get time off. The discussions we'd had, I thought I'd have been looking at a lot lower sentence than what I did get. He also told me I'd be eligible for tag. I wasn't. And the conversation we had is you'd probably be home by Christmas. Go guilty now, you'll be home by Christmas. So in my mind, it got to the point where all I cared about was what is the quickest way home to my daughter and my family.
But instead, in that sentencing by the Recorder of Birmingham, it is quite clear that he is making a political point.
Absolutely.
You're an example. He talks about diversity in his summing up and actually ends up giving you, despite the fact that you've pleaded guilty, a 2.5-year sentence.
Yeah, and he said in the hearing, well, had you have gone to trial and been found guilty, you would have got 4 years something. So that's where I'm going to start from. And then I'm going to take your discount off. So actually, I didn't end up gaining anything by going guilty because all he did was add that 25% on before he took it off.
Do you regret pleading guilty?
Yes. Well, yes and no. Again, because I honestly believe had I gone not guilty, there's a strong possibility I would still be sitting in jail now waiting for a trial. Once they've remanded you, they're in no rush to put you through the system. Why would they? They wanted me in prison.
They wanted to rush you through the system, didn't they? Because, all of these hearings were being televised and they wanted to show to other people, don't post. Don't post because you could be like Lucy Connolly.
It was all by design. All by design. They intentionally remanded people because it's very difficult then, isn't it, to get the best legal advice. And I know Ray was seeking alternative legal advice on the outside and he was saying to me, please don't go guilty. If I could get you to sit around the table with these lawyers, you'd understand why. But that's the problem, isn't it? I couldn't go around and sit at the table with these lawyers and they couldn't say, this is why it's not incitement. This is why you shouldn't go guilty. This is why it's this. Stand strong will get you out. But I don't know whether they would have done. I think my card was marked. I truly, truly believe it doesn't matter who I had representing me, what I pled, they were going to have.
You were Starmer's pin-up girl.
Yeah.
And he had made it clear that he expected the judiciary, I don't call it a justice system, by the way, I call it a judiciary. He had made it clear that you needed a lengthy sentence. So
don't post, all by design. This all was. Lucy Connolly was used as an example of this is what happens when you post on social media. This is what happens when you post your opinion on social media. You're not allowed to. And if you do, how dare you? We will come to your house, we will arrest you, and you can face up to 5 years in prison for a social media post. Geez, it sounds like George Orwell 1984, doesn't it? We'll come after you for a thought crime, or we'll come after you for a post on social media because you've thought it and you posted it. So therefore, that is bad. It's equally equivalent to actually doing it, even though you're a nobody, but apparently it means something to society. If you are an actual criminal, you can get let back out on the street. The double standard is quite telling. The UK has fallen, and Kier Starmer and his government are a bunch of weasel-like pawns. They don't care about the truth. They don't care about justice. They only care about themselves. Corruption runs rampant. They only care about the immigrant. I mean, there's the immigrant hotels going on at the moment. And don't know if you guys have seen any of that happening. People being kicked out and immigrants that are coming into this country or the UK illegally are being given everything on a silver platter. But yet actual hardworking British people struggling. They've had enough. And you know what? Lucy Connolly, had she not have pled guilty, she probably could have been in jail still. She pled guilty because she was advised to, and the judge still gave her the worst possible sentence he could. How crazy is that? We live in a very topsy-turvy clown sort of world. Someone from Reform UK says, as a former magistrate, I find Lucy's case a shameful episode of our judiciary. A decent woman with no convictions, denied bail, and humiliated to fit a political narrative. The judiciary must remain independent, free from influence by government or party. This was disproportionate and unjust. Well, guess what? Nowadays, the courts aren't just. They're completely unjust because they've been infiltrated by political narrative and bias. And as a result, if you choose to go against their particular narrative, you can end up in prison. How about that, right? Anyway, I'm glad that Lucy Connolly is out, and she's going to be, I believe she's going to be meeting with Trump. Political prisoner Lucy Connolly will meet with Trump officials tomorrow to blow the whistle on the UK government's free speech crackdown. It seems like Kier Starmer is in a bit of trouble because he told Trump that he's got freedom of speech running rampant in the UK. Right. So why in the world was Lucy Connolly a political prisoner? You need to change the laws of your country, mate. And Australia is going down the exact same route, albeit Queensland is somewhat of a safe haven at the moment, thanks to our current premier. Seems like common sense is making its way back just to Queensland because they blocked the pro-Palestinian protest in Brisbane. A judge did. Oh, I can't do that in Sydney, but in Brisbane, Queensland, we can because we've still got somewhat common sense. What is the difference between Brisbane and Sydney doing the exact same protest on different bridges? Oh, I know. One, political bias. That's what. Anyway, that's enough from me, but you guys take care. Be blessed, and I'll see you all in the next video.